Today's session is going to be on the one-page business plan that tops. Basically, this is proving that sometimes shorter is better. I have myself written many business plans, hundreds of business plans, and the really neat thing is that the one-page business plan I find is sometimes the most impactful and the one that works the best. My own background is I am the owner and founder of Small Business Solver. Like I said, I've written many business plans, but for myself, I have never written a business plan that's more than 10 pages. A huge sigh of relief probably for some of the entrepreneurs on the phone. Really, wow, I don't have to make it over 10 pages. Well, we're going to get into that, but it really depends. There's some business plans that make sense to be 1 page, some 4, sometimes 10, and there's some, unfortunately, that can be over 100 pages. But oftentimes 1 to 4 is enough, and we're going to talk about how to do that today. Myself, like I said, I've never written one over 10 pages for myself, except for, of course, in school, when it was a requirement to be over 25 pages. Our guiding light today is Benjamin Franklin, who once said, "I would have written a shorter letter, but I didn't have enough time." And I really love that because even though it's a one-page business plan, we think sometimes it's going to be easier. Sometimes it's actually tougher. And the reason that it's tougher is that it's hard to weed out what not to say. But there's a lot of benefits to that. So again, any questions, please shout it out, and we're going to jump in. So why a one-page business plan? Number 1, clarity. Really, by having a one-page business plan, you weed out all the fat, and you make sure that you're only articulating the information that is the most relevant, most important to the reader. It can actually help you with your pitch. If you're able to narrow down a one-page business plan, imagine when you go to networking events. Now, because you've actually rehearsed it by writing it down, you're able to have a solid 30-second pitch. You're able to talk about your messaging. If you actually had to pitch it to investors, you know what the core basics are that you should be talking about. Number 3, it makes sure important information sticks out. My best example on this is if you've ever read a 1-page resume versus a 3-page resume. Sometimes the key examples about the person on a 3-page resume gets lost because it's so big. So sometimes a 1-page resume means that everything that was important actually was understood by the reader. There's a huge opportunity to generate interest. Basically, with a 1-page business plan, you can make it more like a marketing tool. You can add color. You should add color, and we'll talk about some tips. We actually have a way to turn it into a video. And finally, easy to update. I find, especially in your first 6 months, your ideas are changing all the time. And because of that, you don't want to have a 20-page business plan that takes you, 30 hours to update every time you change, because you change your ideas constantly as you get customer feedback and as you grow. So that is why a one-page business plan is great, and it's best for you as an action plan, as a vision for your employees, for your partners, to have 1 page rather than 20. Okay, when not to use one, and I did indicate that sometimes I wrote ones that were over 10 pages, and they were never for me, but for other people. So financial institutions, Scotiabank, RBC, all the banks, they definitely would have a business plan template on their website. So if you're trying to get money from someone, you should probably be answering the questions that they're asking you. So following their templates, unfortunately, is what you have to do. However, the one-page business plan is a great cover page, and it's a great maybe testing the marketplace. Maybe take it to your banker before working on the full business plan for them. Get their initial feedback so you didn't waste your time on the 30-page one as you fill out their template. Government grants. That's another one. They often give templates of exactly what they're looking for, so you need to answer their questions to get the money that they're offering. So again, the one-page business plan, great cover page. And then finally, is when basically the reader has different expectations. So my example for this is when I first started my company, I had a consulting firm about 4 years ago. And one of my mentors was extremely detail-oriented. He loved numbers. So for him, I had to give him an over 10-page business plan because he wouldn't have been satisfied with just the basics because he wasn't comfortable talking to things. He wanted to see all the details. So if you start with your audience, if it's you, and a one-page is good enough, great. If they're detail-oriented, think about whether or not the one page makes sense. So what to expect from today, we are going to do an overview of what to include, then how to put it together, and then some really nifty tools that will help make your business plan pop. So the first piece of a business plan is the opportunity. This could be why you came up with the business idea. This is why it's obvious that there's a need in the marketplace. Often this is a pain point that maybe your customers are feeling. So it's something that's a gap in the market, and really what the reader should be thinking when they read this at the very top of your one page is going to be, duh, of course, yes, that's obvious. If your reader is saying that, your opportunity is clear enough. If you can keep it to one sentence, that's perfect. And it should make the reader say, yes, of course. Now, how are you going to solve it? And that leads into the second big line at the top is going to be, first opportunity, what's the need? And it jumps right into how you're going to solve that. Again, keep it one sentence, and one sentence, it should be crystal clear. So how is the problem going to be solved by you? And then you can start building on to that smaller in a separate section saying, you know what, this is exactly how we're going to do it. Here's a little bit more details. And you could use a diagram. I will show you an example at the end of this presentation of a one-page business plan having all these components. But the neat thing is, by saying what the need or the opportunity or the pain is in the marketplace, and then the next sentence being the solution, that's a great pop. It's a great hook. It means that the reader is going to say, that's obvious, that sounds like a neat solution, let's read more details. And that's really the key part at the top of your business plan. You almost want to think of a newspaper heading. You have the heading, and then you have your subheading. And that's really what these two pieces are. And then after that, you have the reader hooked. That's really the critical part. You can still take the same learning into a bigger business plan. Really, you never want to start a business plan with, I'm a sole proprietorship. A detail like that is, like I said, a detail. You have to start with a hook to get the reader to keep reading. So section 3, after you say the pain and the solution, you want to jump into who your target market is. So who are you selling to? Are they businesses? Are they consumers? And a key thing, and most venture capitalists or angel investors, and those are basically companies, financial institutions that are going to give you $500,000 to $2 million. If you're looking for those types of figures, they want to know if you have strategic alliances and channel partners. So a strategic alliance or a channel partner are basically other organizations that are selling your product or service on your behalf. For instance, if I was an HVAC or a heating and AC company, maybe I don't actually want to go door to door selling my product. So I would actually want to work with a general contractor or maybe a building company or a builder, and they would either buy in bulk from me or they would be the person who actually gets warm leads in the door for me. And so having strategic partnerships and channel partners are looked upon very favorably by financial institutions. Also, it means that you've expanded your sales force without having any additional fixed costs. It's a very powerful way to market. So your target market should include your end customer, but also channel partners and strategic alliances. The more that you have lined up here, the more people are going to go, aha, that sounds neat. That sounds like it's going to work. Next, how are you unique? This is going to be a big point. You might want to put it in bigger font. You might want to put it in a different color on your one page. This is how you're going to be different. The items listed here are some of the top ways that companies differentiate or make themselves unique. So if we look at them, do any of them resonate with you? Do any of them, when you're looking at them, saying, yeah, that's what I want to be known for. That's what my brand's going to be. So when we look through this, you want to be known as the trusted brand? Do you want to be creative? Do you want to be fast service? The key thing is, to do something well, you shouldn't choose more than 3 of these. Okay, again, let me know if there's any questions, or we can recap at the end. Next, your mission versus your vision. If you don't have enough space, always select your vision. If you do have extra space because you've made other parts smaller, include your mission too. The difference is, your vision is where you're headed. As a startup, you don't want to do a vision in 20 years from now. I mean, it's great to have that goal, but think about how much changes in your first 6 months. So having a vision or a goal that you're trying to reach in the next 3 to 5 years is probably even far enough out. And then a mission. As opposed to saying, I want to be the most trusted business consultant in the world, let's say, as a vision. Well, your mission is every day I want to help someone and add value. That would be the mission. So that's the difference. Vision is where you're headed. Vision is where you're headed, and mission is what you're doing every single day. Trends. Market research can really, really hang up some people writing their business plans. You really need to be careful on the volume, on how much market research is actually critical. In a one-page business plan, I'd say only the top 3 trends are important. And in a 20-page business plan, you probably still don't want to go over 5 trends. All of your market research should always be directly supporting either the opportunity or pain that you identified in Section 1 or Section 2, supporting why your solution is a great solution. You never want to do too much research, and you never want to do too little. It's really, really a very fine line that you're walking here. So for a one-page business plan, say the top 3 trends, proving that there definitely is a need or an opportunity out there, or proving that your solution, especially if it's technology focused, you could talk about how technology is all these different neat gadgets are coming down the line that's really going to help your marketplace grow. So really stick to 3. Next, competition. This one you can remove from a one-page business plan, but anything over 1 page you have to do more exhaustive. This is one of the first questions that any financial organization would ask about. If you've ever watched Dragon's Den, they ask it. Who's your competition? What's out there already? And trust me, people will do their homework. If you show them an idea, they're going to make sure that it's not somewhere else. So direct competition, if I was a hairdresser, a direct competitor would be a hairdresser in my same neighborhood. Indirect competition, if I'm a hairdresser in one neighborhood, it would be maybe an upscale hair salon or someone outside of my neighborhood. And a substitute, well, for a hair salon, it would be someone cutting their own hair or letting it grow. What you want to do here is just say, compare yourself, and the key thing is how you're different. So you can almost create a chart. Charts and graphs and visuals are great on one pages. Team players. 50% of why someone works with you is because of you. So it has only 50% to do with your business concept. So if you're using the one-page business plan to get a partner, to maybe hire your first employees and get people interested, or if you're using it as a spark for the financial companies, you really have to focus on this part. So who are the key players? So you want to list them. You want to say maybe 3 sentences that really make them eligible for being in the role that they're in, and that's sufficient. Another thing is if you already have contracts with customers or suppliers, that's something to definitely include. Things that you could leave out are the professional service providers, which you would normally have in a larger business plan. Marketing. All you have to target is basically who your goal is, as well as the top 3 tools that you're planning on using. You should usually have at least one marketing tool helping with the 3 major marketing goals. You should have a tool that helps you with visibility. So is that Google AdWords? Is that going to be LinkedIn? Is that going to be networking? Is that going to be flyers, direct mail? What are you doing? So visibility tools, how are you going to make sure people know about you? Is it a referral program? There's lots of different opportunities. Under credibility, how are you going to convince people that you can do what you say you can do? So at least one credibility tool. And just highlight that. That could be a website. That could be your business cards. That could be your awards. That could be the fact that you have office space. Maybe you're going to have a virtual assistant. These type of people that help you look more credible, that's going to be critical. And finally, rapport. So do you have a way for customer retentions and customer referrals and getting people to really like you? A bonus, easy way to do that is just smile more often, but within your one-page business plan, different techniques might be newsletters, email follow-ups, maybe using Aweber or Constant Contact. Other things could be providing value-added services that are part of your package. Any of these different ideas, try in your one-pager to address each, because each part of marketing, likability, credibility, and visibility helps get sales. So by having those 3 tools on your one-page business plan, it makes your whole one-page business plan also seem more credible. The nice thing also by having only 3, as an entrepreneur who has almost no time, that's going to allow you to actually implement those 3 marketing tools. If you had 10, what's the chance of you getting all 10 done in the next 6 months? But 3, you could probably get 3 done in 1 month. It's just how you actually set up your goals. Projected sales. So you do need a projected sales number. You pretty much just need it on an annual basis or a quarterly basis for the one-pager. You don't have to get into all the fine details that you would on a longer, bigger business plan. So how do you project sales? There's 2 different approaches. Both are good. Some businesses do both. The first one's called bottom up. So what you want to do is you want to figure out all the products or services that you're selling, how much money you make from each, and you times that by the number of sales you're projecting or think you could get for each of those products. Top down is the opposite. You look at the whole size of the marketplace that's out there. So let's say, I don't know, bubble gum is a $5 million marketplace. Well, if you brought in a new banana flavored gum, what percentage of the target market would you actually get? Maybe a 0.001%. But that's still a huge percentage or still a huge revenue number. So you could do bottom up or top down. Most companies, after a while, what they do is actually compare them to see where they overlap, because that's the most likely number that you're going to be hitting. Next, growth stages. You could just do this in a quick chart. So today, what are the top 3 things that you're going to get done? Actually, probably not on one page. Short term, long term, you already have your vision. So all this has to be as bullet points, really quick in a chart. If you wanted to, and I've done this before, is you can actually say who on your team is going to be doing them. So sometimes I put in brackets the name of the person doing it, and then basically putting it together. So what I'm going to do is right now I'm going to show you the example, and then we'll just wrap this up. So here's an example of actually Small Business Solver's one-page business plan from 4 years ago. And the reason that I'm showing you this is because all the other ones we've ever created, for confidentiality, I can't show them. So if this is the title, the first thing that we talk about is our unique selling proposition. So why us? How does it work? We talked about our vision in here, quick trends about unemployment. This is why our total solution here. We talk about our key players on the side, what their role is. We talked about the marketing plan. Our action plan on the side is pretty neat. You have the phases with the owner, so people see how it was actually implemented. We have our target market, competition, very briefly chatted about, and then projected sales. Down here, I did include legal structure because they were actually interested in that, because this is also how I got partners. And it was really interesting is that the one-page business plan got buy-in from the people working with me within 3 days. That's how effective it was. The other nice thing in this, another idea that you could use, is you could actually turn everything into a video. Maybe this is the better way to do it for you. And this was really interesting just because doing something like that was actually free. So I'm going to run through this and then show you some more of the nifty tools. So putting it together, use color as much as you can. Make sure that you're including the most important points for your audience. Think about your reader at all times, and control your message through the nifty tools. So first off, PowerPoint's pretty easy. Microsoft also has something called Publisher that helps make newsletters, but also has more flexibility in where you put logos and pictures, and it has different templates than what PowerPoint has. I use Qt PDF, which is free. What that allows me to do is making sure that whatever I see on my screen, that's what they're seeing on their screen. So it really controls quality control, basically. Add pictures and graphics. What you just saw with the video was Animoto. That was only 30 seconds long, but you could have actually included all the topics we discussed here into that video. It probably would only cost you about 30 to 50 bucks maximum to have something really, really neat. And if you're using this to generate interest with others, consider that. Maybe you actually want to have an online business plan, but you don't want everyone to see it. So Google Sites, Blogger, and WordPress, you can use any of them. Most have free options available with them. And the nice thing is you can actually lock down privacy settings. So if I only wanted someone to see my online business plan on Google Sites, you can only see it if I invite your email address. And as a very basic one, just use colored paper or use huge paper, maybe a big billboard for it. That's just another way to stand out. The wrap up, start with who it's for, start with the opportunity, make it concise, and use the neat, nifty techniques to help your business plan stand out. And that's a wrap. If it doesn't pop, it won't be read. That's the key summation here. With that in mind, I'd love it to throw it back to the audience and see whether or not you had any questions.